folks call me the Bone Man. Ain't my real name, but it's the one that stuck. Tonight on Requiem Radio, we step into the strange world of American composer Henry Cowell and the ghostly origin of one of the most haunting piano pieces ever written, the Banshee. Some sounds aren't meant to be heard by the living. They slip in through the cracks, between waking and dream, between silence and scream. And sometimes those sounds find a home in music. Tonight's story is called Whispers of the Banshee.
In 1935, Henry Cowell was a rising star of experimental music. A fearless innovator, the kind of composer who didn't just write for the piano. He rewrote what the piano was for. While most musicians played the keys, Cowell reached inside the instrument itself. He brushed the strings, struck them, caressed them. He conjured textures so strange they felt like voices from another world. And maybe they were. Cowell was staying in an aging New York brownstone at Fall, an old creaking house with ivy on the bricks and windows that whispered in the wind. It had once belonged to an Irish widow. According to neighborhood gossip, had been a kind of folk mystic. She claimed descent from a line of women known in Irish Gaelic as the Banshee. Legend says the Banshee doesn't kill. She warns. Her cry foretells death, a wail not of fear, but of inevitability. Cowell was fascinated by the tale, but it was just folklore, until the music began to write itself. He heard knocking at night, always at 3 a.m., strings on the piano detuned overnight, refusing to hold pitch. But stranger than that was the feeling that he was not alone when he worked. Cowell began sketching a new piece, one he said was coming from outside himself. It was eerie, discordant, full of scratched and scraped strings that sounded like a woman weeping. He called it the Banshee. One night during a thunderstorm, Cowell was at the piano trying to finish the piece's climax. He reached into the instrument and ran his finger along the bass strings. What came back was not a note. It was a voice. A soft, breathy keening that matched his music. Exactly. He froze. The room grew cold. The shadows sharpened, and in the mirror above the piano, tarnished and cracked, he saw her. A pale woman in gray. Hollow eyes, mouth open in a scream he could not hear. He blinked, and she was gone. Cowell finished the piece that night. He never stayed in the brownstone again. When the Banshee premiered, audiences were stunned, some disturbed. A woman in the front row fainted years past, but the music carried something with it. pianists who performed it began to report strange things, mirrors reflecting figures that weren't there, strings snapping at the same exact passage, a sense that someone stood just behind them as they played. And then came the tape. In 1954, an engineer recorded a performance for broadcast. When he played it back, he heard a whisper beneath the music, too soft to be heard on stage. But on the tape, it was clear, a voice, speaking Irish Gaelic. He had it translated. It said, "I warned him." To this day, the Banshee is taught in music schools around the world. Pianists still reach into the guts of the instrument to summon that ghostly sound, but many, especially those who play alone, choose to cover the mirrors, just in case. Because some say the Banshee doesn't just come to warn the dying. Sometimes she comes for those who hear her.
You've been listening to Requiem Radio, where music bleeds into the supernatural, and that was Whispers of the Banshee. Not all artistic inspiration is divine. Sometimes it's haunted. Just be sure to keep your ears open and your mirrors covered. Ain't gonna be no mo tonight. Y'all rest easy. And don't let the dark drive you home.